Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Infinite Crypto Cruisers. Hey there, folks. My name is Brad Varnell. This is the Infinite Crypto YouTube channel. So excited to be here with you on this beautiful Monday morning. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend and excited to share the 7 biggest mistakes that are keeping you from having a 7-figure portfolio today. On that note, we're talking about weekends. What did you guys all do? Anybody do anything fun and exciting? I actually drove about 4 hours to Palm Desert, California, and got to hang out with my wife and my daughter and my granddaughter who just turned 2 months old. And we went and saw my mom and some family in California. They all got to see the grandbaby for the first time. Was really nice. Got to just kind of get away, forgot all about crypto for a couple of days. Although it was kind of hard to forget about crypto. Was it yesterday that we had the massive boom? I think it was yesterday that everything went crazy. That the announcements were made and ADA went up, 60, 70% or whatever. And anyways, I hope you guys had a good weekend too. I don't decompress often enough. We went out to the hot tub and the swimming pool, 80 plus degrees in Palm Desert, California. So really got to just kind of relax and forget about all of the stress of life for a couple of days and just enjoy our family. So hope you guys had a fantastic weekend, did something enjoyable, did something that took your mind off of, maybe some of the stresses and pressure of life too. I want to go into the chat here really quick and just say good morning to all of you that are here. Mr. Eric Bernstein, hope you are doing fantastic. Hope you had a great weekend. We've got Shazi Official in the house. Thank you for being here. Happy Monday. And then we got Mr. Daniel Prosper. Thank you for being here, Daniel. Hope you are having an amazing weekend. John, how you doing, buddy? Welcome. And we got Dave P., and AAA, Rocky Vibes, Tim G. Good afternoon, Tim. That's right. It's always afternoon for you. It's not morning anymore. So with that, folks, I'm not going to waste too much time. I kind of want to get right into it. But some of this stuff you will have heard before. You've heard me talk about. Some of it might be new. I've never put it together all at once like this. And part of the reason that I decided to do this today was we're right in the middle of this perfect storm. But because of all of the different elements, it doesn't necessarily look like it's lining up to be a perfect storm in some ways. You really have to kind of sit back, a little bit of a different perspective. If you can kind of sit back and view it from, say, like what do they call it? Like the 10,000 foot view, like, for if you were up in an airplane looking down on Earth, that's a lot easier than if you're right on Earth looking at something close. You get back and you can kind of see all of the pieces of puzzle. So folks, I had a mentor once tell me that he would trust a short pencil over a long memory every day of the week. So if you have the ability to take notes, I highly recommend it. I don't say this often enough. I do bring it up occasionally, but really, almost any time you're listening to a YouTube video or something that's not just entertainment. If you're just watching, something for pure entertainment value, you're watching Mr. Beast or something, fine. But if you're watching me or any cryptocurrency, trader or investor or teacher, I highly recommend taking notes. Grab a notebook and just use one notebook for, all of your crypto notes, because I still go back and I will read through notebooks where I wrote notes down 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, I remember that. Yeah, I remember when he was talking about, pot coin. I don't know why that's the coin that came to my mind, but I do. I remember way back in 2018, there was a token called Potcoin that everybody thought was going to be the rage. And I remember listening to an influencer, I think it was like a Data Dash or a Chico Crypto or somebody like that back in the day that was talking about this Potcoin. And anyways, I had lists, Data Dash would do a video where he talked about 10 tokens. and I can go back and I can read, that list and look at, these tokens from 10 years ago, 7, 6, 5 years ago, and see how they're doing today. And it's kind of fun. Not to mention, folks, when you hear something like, if you're not changing, you're choosing. It's so easy to hear that and think it's a cool little, cool little saying, but 10 seconds after you hear it, you forget it. You don't remember exactly how it went. Chief cause of failure and unhappiness is choosing what you want now over what you want most. That's a pretty cool quote. And it's one that if you don't write it down right now in your mind, you might, oh, that's a pretty cool quote, man. I need to remember that. I promise you, you're probably not going to remember it if you don't write it down. So having said that, this is a good one to have a notebook, write it down. The other thing is that really gives you an opportunity to kind of judge yourself on all of these things and see how many of them you're doing right and how many of them maybe you need a little bit of work, or how many of them you maybe hadn't thought about them at all. So number one way that most people, and these are not necessarily in any specific order. Like, I don't think that number one is more important than number two, and number two is more important than number three. Although I have tried to put them in a little bit of an order where it feels like it makes sense to me. So number one is probably one of the most important, and that is most people are way too impatient. And I know that you guys have heard me say this before, but it came back to my mind. Like, so often in life, we want everything now. And what we forget is that most of the good things that we have in our life, they took a while to develop. For any of you that, have careers, if you're a doctor or a lawyer, or, I know that Eric is, is a realtor and does, like a lot of you guys do a lot of different things. If you think back to that process, if you wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer, you didn't just say, hey, let's go online, watch a couple YouTube videos, and let's be a doctor. You were willing to commit to years and years of schooling, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 years of schooling. And then, like, even in a profession like being a realtor, you can go out and get your realtor license, and probably, I don't know exactly, but I'm going to guess that, if you really are serious about it, that 90 days is a reasonable amount of time to be able to study and go get your realtor license. But guess what? Once you're a realtor, the money doesn't just come flowing in. Now you have to learn the business of being a realtor. And what sets aside a really good realtor from just a mediocre realtor? And there's a lot of different things. There's a lot of different things, the different customer service, the different things that you learn about how to put together offers. Like, when you first become a realtor, you might get, clients, and you keep putting in offers on houses, but for whatever reason, your client never seems to win the bidding process. And as you become a better realtor, you realize why, what happened, why didn't they accept this offer on my client's behalf? And you start to get better. So I think I saw a statistic the other day online, and I don't know whether it's true, but I saw a statistic that said something like 70% of realtors last year didn't sell a home. But there was also realtors out there last year that probably made a lot of money. And so one of the differences between those two is their skill level. So here you are, you spent a minimum of 90 days to get the license, you spent some money to get the license, and now you have to go through this learning process. And I would guesstimate, once again, I got no statistical proof to back this up, but Eric can either confirm or deny, but I would guesstimate that a lot of realtors really probably don't kick into high gear and really start making a lot of money in real estate probably until they've had a couple years of experience. There's probably a lot of realtors that don't have success in the beginning, in that first year or two, that quit and give up before they learn the skills necessary to really move forward and succeed. And my point is, folks, what makes you think that building a multi-million dollar crypto portfolio is going to be different? Yeah, it's investing money instead of investing your time. But it still takes an incredible amount of skill. It takes a lot of emotional fortitude. It takes a laser focus. You have to really know what you want. There's a lot that goes into it. So when I say being impatient, part of what I mean by that is twofold. A, you don't give yourself enough time to learn the skills that it takes to be a successful investor, and to give yourself an opportunity to make money in investing. A lot of people in crypto and whatever other investing you want to talk about, but especially in crypto, they've heard about all of these fast riches. They've all heard, about, Doge token and Shiba Inu in the last bull run where people jumped in and got lucky. You could have got lucky in the last cycle and bought some Doge at way, way, way under a penny and rode it all the way up to like 70 cents in just a couple of months. And there was people that, turned $1,000 into hundreds of thousands of dollars in that moment. They got lucky, and people hear about that. And so they go into cryptocurrency believing that it's easy and that they're just going to throw some money at a token and all of a sudden it's going to explode and it's going to make a lot of money. And for those of us that have been around for a while, we just know that that's not simply true. So they're impatient in the fact that, they feel like they're going to get success quickly. The other thing that they're impatient in is that they're not willing to let their investments mature. So folks, we all understand, right, that most startup businesses, a lot of them fail. A huge percentage of them fail. And then the ones that don't fail, it still usually takes them 5 or 10 years to really become big, massive companies. Like if you go back and look at some of the companies today that we think are just absolutely incredible, some of the best companies in the world, like Amazon, Microsoft, Apple. If you go back and look at their beginnings, they had humble beginnings, and it probably took them a decade to get to 100 million in sales, 100 million net worth. And we got cryptocurrencies that are getting to 100 million in 2 weeks. But there's also a lot of projects out there that are going to be worth billions and billions and billions of dollars that are only worth 10, 25, 50 million right now. Then maybe it's going to take them a few years to mature. And so you have to have a long-term mentality. This isn't hey, I'm going to get into crypto and I'm going to give it a couple, 2-3 months. And if it ain't working, then I'm going to find something else. You can't even say, hey, I'm going to get into crypto. I'm going to give it 6 months or 12 months. You got to be willing to go for the long term. The great thing about crypto, though, folks, is you're not looking at long term as way different than like your 401k or money that you're putting into the stock market. I've got a family member that I was visiting in California that's 90, going on 96 years old. And he's done very well for himself in his life. And he started buying stock at a relatively young age. And he's had a very successful life. I look up to him and admire him in a lot of ways, but he's still he didn't quit working and actually retire until he was, about 65 years old. And hey, there's nothing, I'm not dogging on that, but I know that there's a lot of us right now that are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s that are watching this. A lot of you, I'm 51 and I'm probably one of the older people, in this group. So a lot of you that are in your 20s and 30s and 40s, the whole reason that we're in crypto and we're doing this, we don't want to wait till we're 65 or 70 to be able to retire. Like you want to be able to retire and not care when your Social Security starts. There's so many people that can't retire until they get their Social Security, even though it's only $1,500 a month, $2,000 a month. If they didn't have that steady couple $1,000s a month coming in from Social Security, they would be in trouble, even with, their investments and that type of thing. So this is a much shorter term plan than most of the plans out there. Another example is when I got involved in a couple of companies when I was younger that basically, they told you right up front that it's probably going to be a 2 to 5 year process to really have massive success and to create a big enough business that is really producing and spitting off enough cash flow, to potentially allow you to walk away from your job. And the thing that drove me crazy is that 95, maybe even 99% of the people didn't have the patience to wait 2 to 5 years to do the activity. In order to have a body, like if you want to have a really nice physique, you want to have 6-pack abs, you want to be cut, it's probably going to take you a couple, 2, 3 years to do it. Like even me, like I can probably lose the weight that I need to lose. If somebody put a gun to my head or offered me $1 million to lose and be under 199 pounds in 6 months, it'd be a done deal for sure. But whether or not I could have the 6-pack abs and just be totally shredded in 6 months, I don't know. That might take a little bit longer. But my point is most of you watching this channel have a job, or you own your own business. But if you're self-employed, that's basically owning a job. So there's a huge difference between, having a job or being self-employed and owning a business that actually is able to run without you, and you literally can just kind of pick up the checks. So my point is, if you're a business owner that owns a job, or you have a job, what plan are you on right now? I call it the 40-40-40 plan. That's where you work for 40 hours a week for 40 years of your life to try to retire and live off of 40% of what you're currently barely making it on. It ain't a good plan, but most of you are on that plan. And a lot of you guys have been working this plan for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Like if you're 35 years old, you've been on this plan for almost half your life. At 36, you've been an adult for 18 years. So at 36 years old, if you got a job, you've been working this job plan for 18 years. And how close are you to the life of your dreams? When you were 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and you took off into the world and you said, hey, I'm going to have a better than average life. I'm not going to be one of these guys that's broke, living paycheck to paycheck all the time. I'm going to figure out a way to create wealth in my life. I'm going to have that Ferrari or that Mercedes. I'm going to have a really nice house. I want to live on the ocean, or I want to live on a lake, or I want to have 25 acres and, like all of the dreams that you have. There's not an 18-year-old watching this video today that struck out into the world at 18 years old and said, man, I want to have a job and I want to have to work 40 or 50 hours a week for somebody that in most cases I don't even really like, and do something that that I'm not passionate about and barely exist. Like if something happened to me and all of a sudden my income stopped, I would be in massive, massive financial trouble within just a month or two, probably, because most people don't even have a couple months of savings in the bank. Nobody started their life off with that as their goal, yet that's where 95% of the population ends up. 95% of the people that you see on an average everyday basis are not making it financially. It's just statistics. But at the same time, you go give that person an opportunity to create financial wealth in crypto, and you tell them, hey, I got a 5-year plan for you. Like literally, if you just found crypto today, this is the first video that you ever watched, there's a possibility that you're not going to make enough money during this bull market to totally change your life forever and be able to walk in and quit your job, tell your boss you don't want to work for him anymore. But I can almost guarantee you that if you follow the right steps and you are diligent for the next 5 years, that by this time in 2030 or very close to it, you can have the life of your dreams, and you can have, you can go tell your boss that you don't want to work for him anymore, even if you're your boss. There's a lot of people that are going to make so much money in crypto that they decide that the company that they're running, that, sometimes when you're self-employed, you go from a 40-hour-a-week job working for somebody else to now you work 60, 70 hours a week for yourself, because you got to do so much more. When you're working for another company, you just go in, do your job, and you're done at the end of the day. When you're working for yourself, you got payroll, you got bookkeeping, you got advertising, you got marketing, you got sales, you got to hire employees, you got to fire hire employees. You got to, make sure that the employees are getting, paid properly. You got to record the content. Like when you're a business owner, all of a sudden, a lot of people, I think all of a sudden they're going to go start their own business and life's going to be, grand, and they're going to be able to call the shots and do whatever they want whenever they want. And the trouble with that is if you do go start your own business and you do whatever you want, whenever you want, you're not going to be in business very long, not very long at all. You're going to be going back to your employer, crawling back to him, begging for your job back on your hands and knees. So, but my point is, most people, if you lay out a 5-year plan on how they can totally change their life and become multimillionaires, 95 to 99% of the people won't do what you tell them. And it's crazy because most of them, one of the biggest reasons will tell you, oh man, 5 years, that's a long time. Like you're telling me I got to go to my job and I got to work my 40 hours a week. And then I got to come home and I got to spend 2 or 3 or 4 hours a day in learning about this cryptocurrency stuff, how it works, being able to figure out how to build a good crypto portfolio. I gotta give up the, the Tuesday night bowling league, and I got to do this and I got to do that. Oh, and the other thing that I got to do is I got to be more responsible with my money. I got to figure out a way to save a part of my money, because one of the reasons that most people are broke is they spend in every dollar that they make. So you can get them involved in crypto, or you could be involved in crypto. You could have listened to YouTube videos for the last 6 months and be an expert on crypto. But if you ain't got any money, then you're not going to create millions of dollars in your portfolio. And so that is going to lead me right into my second point, which is actually listed down at number 5. So first point is you're way too impatient. You got to be patient, folks. Even if this thing took 10 or 15 years, it's way, way better than the 40-40-40 plan that most of you are on. If you're 25, or even if you're my age, if you're 50, and you're going to retire at 65, broke, barely able to exist, and with this plan, you can retire at 65 as a multi-millionaire and the ability to travel all over the world. And if you've taken good care of your health at 65, hopefully you still have some good years left. I'm telling you, I don't think it's going to take 15 years, but even if it were, if you don't do this, you're probably going to just be working at your job for the next 15 years anyways. So hopefully I drove that home enough and we can forget about point number 1. You're way too impatient. Point number 2, which was number 5, is you're not making enough money. Folks, as an influencer and as a guy that coaches people one-on-one, and as a guy that has, a private group, and I have a lot of people DMing me. I have people watching this channel right now that have DM'd me and asked me to give them $20. So folks, if you are DMing me and asking me for money, I know you're not making enough money. And that's not a lack of money problem. That's a lack of resourcefulness. So folks, one of the things that I hear Sam Price say and then Myron Golden, you got to remember, like, cryptocurrency is not the resource. You are the resource, my friend. You are the resource. What you do with that resource then funnels into the cryptocurrency and you grow your assets, but you are the resource. And the only reason you're not making enough money and being able to invest in cryptocurrency is you're not resourceful enough. So I hate to use the word lazy, and maybe it's a bad word, but I'm going to tell you, like, if you're lazy, you're probably going to have a lot of trouble getting wealthy in cryptocurrency. One of the reasons is you're not going to make enough money. Most people that make it in cryptocurrency start off in a place where, once again, they're on that 40-40-40 plan. They're making enough money to survive and pay their bills, and then they hear about crypto and they decide they want to create wealth. But they're in a position where I can't tell you how many people I talk to. Another one that's watching this YouTube channel right now, I know he's going to know who he is. 3 months ago, I did a video on saving 10%. This gentleman and I have had many conversations, and over the last 3 or 4 months, I happen to know that he hasn't gotten around to doing that yet. And there's always a good reason why. But folks, until he draws the line in the sand and just decides that no matter how bad it hurts, no matter what he's got to give up to do it, and starts doing that, the long-term prospects for him to have significant wealth in his life are almost zero. It's just not going to happen. And, for those of you that say, hey, I'll start saving and investing when I make more money, you're lying to yourself. It is what it is. I've seen thousands and thousands and thousands of case studies. And in every situation, the person that makes it in life is the person that does it when it hurts, that does it when it's uncomfortable. If you think taking $10 out of $100 hurts, I promise you, taking 100 out of 1,000 is going to feel like it hurts worse. And I promise you even more that taking 1,000 out of 10,000 is really going to hurt. You might think that I'm wrong, and you can continue to test me on this, but I promise you, you got to start somewhere. So, and that's a little off topic. We get back to, you got to make more money. Well, see, what most people have been taught their whole life is you go to school, you get a good job, and you work real hard for your 8 or 9 or 10 hours a day. And then what do you do when you come home? What do you guys do? So let me ask you guys a question. Let's look at it this way. Let's just say, for instance, that you work from 8 in the morning until we'll call it 4 in the afternoon. So you get paid for your lunch or whatever. You just work 8 hours. So you work from 8 in the morning until 8 in the afternoon. And let's just say that you sleep for 8 hours and you need an hour to get ready and get to work. So you sleep from, say, 11 at night till 7 in the morning. And then from 7 till whatever, 7:30, 7:40, you get ready for work. Some of you have a longer commute. Some of you need more time. But let's just say in this example, you get up at 7 in the morning and you're to work at 8. Then you get off work at 4. And now say, with travel time and everything, let's just say by the time you get home and you've, been able to get through the door and unwind a little bit, let's just say that takes an hour. So it's 5 o'clock. So you went to bed at 11 o'clock at night. You get home at 5 o'clock. So you got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You got 6 hours to do whatever you want to do. Well, I'm here to tell you that there's probably about 95% of you that are watching this that watch Netflix, maybe pop open, a beer or, a beer or two, or, maybe if you don't drink, it's just iced tea or whatever. But you tell yourself, hey, I just worked for 8 hours. I'm tired. I earned this relaxation. Well, I'm here to tell you, bologna sandwich. And that's because I can't say the other word that starts with a B. You ain't earned nothing. If you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're struggling and you're wondering, how you're going to create the life of your dreams, yet you're watching TV and you're going bowling or whatever it is that you think you deserve to do, you are not giving yourself an opportunity to be successful. You have to take that 5, 6 hours that you have from 5 o'clock at night till 11 o'clock at night, and you got to maximize that. Your 8 to 4 pays your bills. Your 5 to 11 creates your life. And I'm not here to tell you that you got to spend all 6 hours of that and you can never have any fun. But guys, you don't need to watch 6 episodes of your favorite show or 8 episodes of your favorite show and just chill and watch Netflix and eat dinner for the whole 6 hours. Eat dinner and relax and enjoy a couple hours, but take 2, 3, 4 hours and put it into your future. Like, seriously, investing in cryptocurrency is simple, but it isn't easy. These hours between 5 p.m. and 11 p.m., that's your get rich time, man. And it's over and over and over. I can show you, you go look at a Mark Cuban, you go look at a lot of these guys that are just like multi-millionaires, billionaires. At some point in time, they probably had a job that created enough stability in their life And then they use their extra time to go out and create their dream life. Very few people just started a business and created their dream life. And if they did, they probably went through 5 or 10 years of just absolutely eating ramen and peanut butter sandwiches. I've got a friend, Andy Frisella, that basically lived in the store. He was creating a personal nutrition brand called First Form. The guy literally only paid himself a few $100s a month for the first 10 years. Now he's probably a billionaire or closing in on it. But for 10 years, he literally slept on the floor of his store and lived off of almost no money. So if you want, to me, that's the same thing. He kind of did it all, but he even talks about where him and his brother, they had odd jobs too. They still, they worked their store for the 8 or 10 or 12 hours that it was open, but in the extra hours they did work and painted lines and parking, and they tipped parking lots, and they were the guys that would go and paint the white lines and redo the lines and stuff, making their money to keep their business afloat. There's another guy that I have a lot of respect for, a gentleman named Brad Lee, that owns a company called Lightspeed VT. He openly talks about how a couple of times before his business really got off the ground, he went and got a job so that he could keep his business afloat. Well, folks, if you're a cryptocurrency investor and your goal is to create $1 million, multi-million dollar crypto portfolio, that is your business. It's a business. It's not just some hobby, something that you kind of do on the side. That is your business. Now, if you just want to, make an extra few $1,000, you're going to, you hope that you can make 5 or 10 grand during this bull market, fine. Treat it like a hobby. Treat it like something that you can just, spend 15 minutes on and 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. If you want to become a multi-millionaire through your cryptocurrency investing, quit screwing around in the hours that you're not working and just enjoying life. Now, I'm not here. I know Eric, and a lot of you guys have beautiful families. Eric has an incredible family. He knows that I'm not telling him to forget about his wife and his kids. That's not what I'm talking about. But you could carve out, if you got 6 hours of free time, you could spend an hour. I promise you, an hour with your kids that is truly focused on your kids, where you turn off your phone, you turn off all distractions. The only way you aren't focused on that hour with your kids is if somebody's dying or going to jail or there's an incredible emergency. I promise you, your kids are going to appreciate that hour of just undivided attention from you way better than they're going to enjoy 6 hours of sitting in a living room staring at a TV. And where you guys are all in your own little worlds. You're on your cell phone watching TV. Your wife's on her cell phone watching TV. Your kids are playing on their tablets. And yeah, you're all in the same room, but you're not really spending time together. So my point is, you give your kids an hour of quality time that's going to mean more to them than the 6 hours. It's going to be better. You're going to grow deeper relationship with your kids. You're going to have a lot more fun. And by doing that, and doing that with your wife too, same thing. Your wife needs your time. You figure out when that hour or 2 hours is going to be for your wife. I promise you guys, if you have a husband or a wife, 90% of the time, if you have 5 or 6 hours of free time and you dedicate an hour or two to your spouse, and it's just undivided, time, you're focused on them, you're actually listening to what they say. My wife calls it quality time. There's a difference between when I'm on my phone and I'm on my computer and I'm looking at Telegram and I'm doing emails and her and I are somewhat kind of having a conversation back and forth. That's not quality time. The thing about that kind of time too is this is, an extra bonus for those of you in a relationship. You can never get enough of that time because it's not quality time. You could spend 10 hours a day doing that kind of stuff, and it's not going to fill up your spouse's love tank. 1 hour of undivided attention where you actually hear what they're saying and you're listening and you're talking and you're dreaming and you're really present is going to be better than 4 or 5 hours of sitting in front of the boob tube, and watching, some mind-numbing TV show while you're on your phone. So You guys, where there's a will, there's a way. And the reason I'm talking about this is because so many of you that are watching this video, you just weren't aware. Like, all of your friends go to work and they come home and they watch TV and they go to bed and then they do it again. So it's not your fault. Everybody, all of the average mediocre people in your life, that's what they do. It's the norm. You're going to be a weirdo. You start telling your buddies and your girlfriends, hey, I'm spending an hour a day of quality time with my husband, and it's been the best hour of my day. I'm spending an hour of my day with my kids, and it's an incredible hour. And then I'm spending 2 or 3 hours building my dreams because I want to live here. I want to have this. I want my kids. I want to be able to take my kids to school in the morning. I want to be able to pick them up at night. I'm tired of a daycare raising my kids. You're going to look like you got 2 heads to those people because they can't comprehend. What is personal development? What do you mean you're spending 2 or 3 hours a day working on your dreams? Like, that just doesn't compute to the average person. But I'm going to assume you ain't average. You wouldn't be watching this channel if you were average. So you got to figure out a way to make more money. And the way that you do it is by turning your 5 to 11 time into some productive time. And that could mean, getting a second job and using that money to invest in crypto. That could mean going and getting, doing Uber Eats, doing Uber driving, and whatever. That could mean, creating a little bit of a side hustle, going, buying and selling, going to garage sales all day on Saturday and Sunday and loading up a bunch of stuff for pennies on the dollar because they're just about giving it away. And then you come home and you list it all on Craigslist and you make an extra 2, 3, 4, 500 a week by doing that you can invest in cryptocurrency. There's, going to your boss and saying, hey, boss, man, I'd really love, is there any way that I could maybe get even just a couple hours of overtime every week? You realize, if you're making $30 an hour and you can get 2 hours of overtime, that's an extra $90. $90 a week doesn't sound like that much, but 4 times 9 is $360 a month. Over the course of a year, 360 times 12 is over $4,000 that you've been able to get invested into cryptocurrency. What if your boss gives you a full day? What if he lets you work a full day of overtime? You get 8 hours of overtime. If you're working at $30 an hour, 8 times 45 is what? 8 times 4 is 320. 8 times 5 is 40. So $360 in one day. So now you're looking, that's over $1,400 a month. Even after taxes, it'd be easy to be throwing $1,000 a month into crypto with one extra work shift. But you got to be willing. You're like, well, I don't want to work an extra day. Well, that's fine. Stay broke. When me and Eric and a bunch of the other people on this channel are, making plans to go have an incredible getaway for a week or 2 in a tropical island like the Bahamas or Belize or somewhere, we're having the Infinite Crypto Retreat, and you say, well, gosh, I can't come because I can't afford it, because I still got my job, because I wasn't willing to work harder for a 2 to 5 year period of time. I wasn't willing to do whatever it took to get myself in a position to where I could have the freedom to do whatever I wanted. Well, that's on you. But just remember this video. If you come back from this video in 2030 and you're still broke, it's one person's fault, and that's yours. You're staring right at the person whose fault it is. It's nobody else's fault. It ain't your boss's fault. It ain't your spouse's fault. It ain't your kids' fault. It ain't your mom's fault. It ain't your dad's fault. It ain't your kids' fault. It's your fault. If you're watching this channel today, you got no excuses. There's absolutely no excuses. So let's get on to the next one. I'm going to go over these a little bit quicker. So the next one is not educating yourself. You're not educating yourself. And this is going to be quick because I just kind of talked about that. You got to educate yourself. Watching a YouTube video and then just going out and buying whatever the YouTuber is talking about blindly is not educating yourself. That is not a good strategy to win in life. That's not a good strategy to have long-term success. even if you're taking advice from the most incredible person in the world, their situation is different. They're 50 years old and you know their kids are grown up and out of the house. You're 30 years old and you've got a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. Like their strategy at 50 with no kids, even if it's an incredible strategy, may very well not align and fit in with your strategy. You know, they also maybe need a little bit less money you know, to live because they're getting up in their years where you need more money, or vice versa. There's 100 different variables. So listening to somebody like me is a fantastic place to start, but please don't let that be where you finish. You got to get some books. You got to understand money. You got to understand, you know, fiat. You got to understand, you know, so a lot of us understand that our money is becoming worth less. Over time, it's worth less. Like $100 bill, what you could buy for $100 in 2020, if you went to buy groceries or gas and that kind of stuff, you cannot get anywhere near as much food today for $100 as you could 5 years ago. And if you go back 20 or 30 years, I mean, it's significantly less. I was talking to this guy, you know, in California that remembered having a job for $1.25 an hour. You know, well, now minimum wage here where I live is almost $15 an hour. So minimum wage is over 10x, more like 12x. But guess what? Anybody making minimum wage, making 14, 15 bucks an hour is struggling in life. They're living paycheck to paycheck, even though they're making 12 times as much money as this gentleman started out making, you know, back in the day. So, but you gotta know more than just kind of vaguely understanding why that is. You got to figure out and understand why money is becoming worthless. It's worth less, but worthless. Basically, like all fiat money in the history of the world is at some point in time become worthless. It's happened over and over and over and over for thousands and tens of thousands of years, and nobody seems to learn from it. And that's one of the reasons. The other thing that goes along with that is as you're learning that, you will understand why Bitcoin is such an incredible store of value. You realize that if you could have bought a house for, say, 10 Bitcoin, you know, 10 years ago or 5 years ago, that if you could still buy a house, if you owned that 10 Bitcoin, in fact, you could probably buy a much nicer, bigger, better house today than you could have 5 or 10 years ago with the same amount of Bitcoin. Where I think that all of you understand that if you had, you know, if you had $200,000 to go pay cash for a house 10 years ago, you might have been able to get a house. But that same house is now $400,000 or $500,000, and you still only got the $200,000 in the bank. Where if you would have had $200,000 worth of Bitcoin 5, 10 years ago, today, you would have millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. And so you have to educate yourself, because that's what's going to give you the mindset. When you get a paycheck, the first thing you should try to do with your paycheck, once you're educated, you're going to want to start going and buying some assets. You're not going to want to like look at a bunch of money in the bank. Yeah, there's nice to have a little bit of a cushion, to have some money in the bank, but you're going to get to a point where you're like, okay, I got enough money in the bank. I got a couple months worth of living expenses. I'm good. You're going to want to start putting your money into these hard assets, these revenue generating assets, and these assets that are outpacing inflation. Like, you know, even if money, you know, well, money has no chance of outpacing inflation, but even if it was kind of almost keeping up with it, like if inflation is 10% and you're making 5%, like say you got your money in a bank account that's earning 5%, which is relatively hard to do unless you got lots of money. But even having your money in a savings account like that, at 5%, you're still losing money because inflation is more than 5%. But if you look at Bitcoin and you look at a lot of hard assets, I don't know the exact amount of appreciation year over year over year that Bitcoin is doing. But I know that Bitcoin was at one point in time, oh my goodness, what did I get in my throat? I know that Bitcoin, at one point in time in 2016, I bought some of it when it was $5 a bit, or 500 a Bitcoin. after I got serious about investing, I swear I feel like a bug or something flew into my throat. When I got serious about investing, though, Bitcoin ran from anywhere from about, it sat between 13,000 and about 3,500 for about 3 years. Could have been buying Bitcoin under 10 grand for the better part of 3 years. In fact, the first time I ever bought a whole Bitcoin, I bought one whole Bitcoin at $8,700 back in 2019, I believe. It was probably in around July, August of 2018, or 2019. I bought a whole Bitcoin at $8,700. So that's 6 years ago. So if you had $8,700 in 2019 and all you did was keep it in the bank, your 8,700 is probably worth, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 grand in today's dollars, maybe even less. But if you'd have had one Bitcoin back in 2019, it'd be worth 100 grand today over the last 6 years. So it would have over 10x'd. Your money's not going to do that for you. And so the not educating yourself part is what keeps you from doing the right activities. You have to go get yourself educated. Use some of that time between 5 at night and 11 at night to educate yourself. The next thing that I'm going to talk about, number 4, is not having a plan. So being specific is incredibly, it's not only important, it's critical, it's crucial. If you look at people that go out and actually achieve the life of their dreams, they don't have vague goals. They don't just say, man, I'd like to live on the water someday. No, they know what body of water they want to live on. They might even walk the beach or go visit the area where they want to live. They might even have a couple of houses on that beach that they love and that they're like, man, I hope that when I have the money, this house right here is available. If it ever comes for sale after cryptocurrency is taken off, this is the house that I'm buying. They don't just want, say someday I'm going to own a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or, whatever. They don't just say I'm going to own a Ferrari. They say I'm going to own blah, 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 and the exact model. And I'm not a huge Ferrari, I love Ferraris, but I don't have, I don't have a specific one in mind. But like, say my son, he loves Porsches, and he knows that he wants a 911, but I can't give you the exact specs on it. But he knows the engine that he wants to have in it. He knows what color he wants. He knows what year he wants. Like, you literally got to get specific down to the stitching in the seats. You got to have a plan. You got to know how much money you want. It's not enough for you to be like, hey, I just want to get rich during this bull run. Well, what is rich? Because if you live in Nigeria and 50 bucks a week is the average living wage, maybe, 25 grand or 50 grand might be rich. If you live in the United States and you're already making $100,000 a year on your job, you might need 5 million. My point is, you need to know what that number is for a lot of different reasons. A, your mind attracts what it's focused on. You will start to see opportunities that you didn't start to see. They call it your RAS, reticular activating system. The easiest example I can give you is that, let's just say that, you're driving down the road, you only notice cars that actually mean something to you. So let's say, for instance, you've never owned, a Mustang convertible. You could drive down the road all day long and you're not really going to even notice any Mustang convertibles. But I promise you, you go out, you buy a blue Mustang convertible and you're driving down the street. Well, now that your mind is focused on Mustang convertibles, you're going to see every single blue convertible or every single Mustang convertible on the road. It could be half a mile down the road on the other side of the street in a parking lot backed in, and you'll see it, because your mind is focused on it. Well, it's the same thing. Knowing how much your goal number is, whether that's 100,000 or 100 million, you got to know your number. You got to have a plan. You got to be specific, and you should have it written down. Just like I asked you to write notes today, nothing that's important in your life should be trusted to your head. Get it written down on paper, and even better yet, a lot of times a date is kind of an arbitrary thing. Like, we can't control when crypto is going to take off. So having a date, you know, you can't control that, but you should still have a date. You should have a date that you want that by, because I'm here to tell you that 80 or 90% of your goal will happen in the last 10 to 20% of the time frame. If you've got a 10-year goal, you just watch. You can be prepared that about 8 years into your goal, you've probably accomplished about 20% of the goal. And then in year 9 and 10, you'll accomplish the other 80. The other nice thing about knowing that, folks, is I guarantee you that if you've got a 10-year goal, that if you changed it into a 2-year goal, you could hit it. So I was listening to a guy the other day, and somebody told him that he wanted to have a $100 million a year company in 10 years. And Dan Martell said, hey, that's fantastic, but you know, why can't you have it in 2? And the guy was like, blah, blah. You know, he started sputtering out, you know, excuses, started sputtering out why he couldn't have it in 2. And Dan just asked him, hey, if somebody put a gun to your head and told you that if you don't have a $100 million company in 2 years, you're dead, would you be able to do it? And the guy said, yeah, absolutely, 100%, I would get it done. So folks, you want to shorten your time frame. The easiest way to do it is to put a date on something closer than what you imagine. You think, hey, I can definitely get this done by 2030, so I'm going to put 2030 as my goal. Don't do that. Make your goal for in the next 3 months, the next 6 months, because that's going to also force you into the activity. Because I guarantee you, if you absolutely had to have $1 million crypto portfolio in the next 6 months, or you were going to die, or somebody that you loved was going to die, you had a family member that needed an operation, and if they didn't get an operation in 6 months, and it was going to be $1 million to get that operation done, and the only way that you could get $1 million together was through cryptocurrency. You couldn't go borrow it. You couldn't go get a job. You just had to invest in cryptocurrency. I promise you, if it was that important to you, you would get it done. So have a time frame on it and quit giving yourself so much time, because what's going to happen if you got a 20-30 time frame, you're going to screw around in 25 and 26 and 27 and half of 28, and all of a sudden you're going to get serious about a year and a half, you know, ahead of time, and try to cram everything in a year and a half to get it done by 2030. And my point is, even if you're successful and you hit it by 2030, the fact that you gave yourself 5 years to do it, you cost yourself 3.5 years. Just give yourself the year and a half to do it right now, or the 6 months, or whatever, and quit screwing around and get it done. Number 5, investing in flash, not substance. Investing in flash, not substance. So many people right now are drawn to the meme coins. And, you know, I'm going to say something that ain't that popular, and that is I don't like meme coins. I'm not a fan. I agree that they have a place in crypto. They do attract a lot of new people into crypto, and there are some meme coins that I will invest in. But I'm not investing in meme coins as my strategy to create $1 million, multi-million dollar portfolio. I might take a shot with $500 or $1,000 into something that's hot that I'm planning on flipping in a week or 2, and hoping that maybe I can, you know, catch a 5 or a 10 or a 25x. And then I'm going to take that money and I'm going to start diverting it into, you know, Bitcoin and solid plays. Like, you know, I was talking about Atom the other day, and I just got my wife her Coinbase set up. She's going to start buying and staking Atom. My son is starting to buy and stake Atom because it's 15% a year APR. So it's like built right in. So many of us, you want to go buy stocks and 401, you know, you got your mutual funds. Most people in a mutual fund are absolutely thrilled if it can get 8, 10, 15% year over year over year. You know, this guy that I was talking to over the weekend that's 96 has done very well for himself. He's got a stock that he invests in that pays an 8% a year dividend. He says that he's been buying this stock for 20 plus years. He's never really seen it lower than about $5, and he's never seen it much higher than $10. So literally, here is a stock that over the course of 20 years hasn't made him any money in the actual stock, really. But he's happy to make his 8% year over year over year over year. And I tried to tell him about Atom. I'm like, I like what you're saying, David, but with Atom, we can buy a token that is right now beaten all the way down to $5, that was $50+ in the last bull market, that is, a company that I believe is going to be around for decades and going to become worth a multi-billion-dollar valuation. And I absolutely, if you go look at Atom, it was just $10, $11 just a few months ago. And then, a few months before that. So during the downturns, it comes down to $4 or $5. As soon as the market flips, it's back up to $10, $15 real quickly. And I believe it's going to do even better than that. So like I asked him, I said, would you rather have a asset that pays you 8% and there's really no upside for the actual stock, or would you rather own a stock that pays you 14, 15%, but has the potential to 5, 10, 20, 30, 50, 100x over the next handful of years? And, he's 96. He's not going to get in. He ain't going to go buy any Atom. I think he understood what I was saying, though. But folks, and we have a lot of opportunities right now where, for those of you that are investing in the stock market, or, like I say, traditional finance, where you're happy to get 10% a year, I would start diverting some of that money into tokens like Atom on Coinbase. Pretty darn secure, pretty safe. And I believe, if you want to go a little deeper down the rabbit hole, you can get in with, get a Kepler wallet. You get a Kepler wallet, and you can go be a part of the Atom Osmosis ecosystem. Stake your Atom in that system. Probably earn as much interest, maybe even a little bit more, and kind of have it be decentralized if you really want it to be decentralized. So, investing in flash, not substance. You guys, you want to be investing in the Microsofts, the Amazons, the Dells, the Starbuckses, all of those, top company Amazons. You want to invest in those, but you want to invest in them in cryptocurrency companies. And right now, we don't have any of those companies yet. But there's a few, like Chainlink, to me, is going to be one of the Amazons and Microsofts of the cryptocurrency world. People that are buying and holding Chainlink for the next 10 or 15 years are going to create generational wealth, and so on and so forth. You got to find the tokens that you think are going to be around and that are going to do that. There's a lot of them, but that's even with my microcap gems, folks. Like, I'm not buying some of these, 250,000 market cap tokens, 5 million market cap tokens, 10 million market cap tokens to necessarily hold them for the next 10 or 15 years. The whole goal is to have those things 25, 50, 100, 500x, and to pull my money out and then to put it back into assets like Bitcoin, Atom, Polkadot, stuff that's paying, an ROI, that I can earn money, stuff that I can borrow against. If I've got a couple $1 million in Bitcoin lying around, I can borrow against my Bitcoin for a down payment for a house, for a down payment on a car. I don't have to sell the underlying asset in order to live my life. And so even with these microcap gems, these are not plays that I'm planning on sticking around all the way through into the 2030 or 2035 cycle. These are all tokens that I'm going to be out of, hopefully towards the peak of this bull market. So quit looking for the next, 100x tomorrow. Yeah, we want some 100x's, but we probably will have been invested in some of these tokens 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years before we get that big 50, 100x. We're not trying to invest in 100x that's going to happen tomorrow. Now, if you do some good due diligence and you find a great project and you happen to do something like that, fantastic. But don't let your mind be just focused on fast money, fast money, fast money, fast money. How can I do it? Don't have that panting like a dog mentality over your tokens. Have the laid back, cool hand Luke, taking your time, studying things out, making cold, calculated, moves. The next one. So that was number 5. Number 6, shiny object syndrome. So folks, shiny object syndrome and investing in flash, not substance, are a little bit similar, but where they are different, folks, is shiny object syndrome is where you're excited about crypto today, but then as crypto kind of starts to go through a little bit of a downtrend and maybe it's a little bit bearish, all of a sudden you're like, hey, I heard that a few of these stocks over in the stock market, they are going to get hot. So you jump over, you kind of forget about crypto, you jump over, and now you're in the stock market. Then, the stock ain't going all that great. And one of your buddies calls you up and says, hey, somebody just told me, like, I got a brother-in-law, like, hey, land out here in Arkansas is super, super cheap. And you can even buy land on water. So let's buy a big piece of land and clear it and develop it and buy little modular homes and make like vacation homes. Now, this idea actually sounds pretty awesome. But right now, I'm focused on making my millions in crypto. I'm not going to jump over and try to buy a piece of land in Arkansas and do a business that I have no idea how to do. Now, in the future, 2027, 2026, all of a sudden I got $5 or $10 million lying around. Does a 25 or 50 or 100 acre piece of land that's like on a lake in Arkansas sound maybe like it could be awesome? Maybe it might. But my point is right now I'm laser focused. So even though that's a good opportunity, it's not where I need to put my time. Don't get distracted by shiny objects. It can happen with so many things. Hey, I went out this weekend and I put some signs on some cars, and because they look like they hadn't been driven for a while, they hadn't been parked, or they'd been parked for a long time. And so I put some signs on some cars asking people if they wanted to sell their cars. And now I'm going to go and, buy these cars and I'm going to sell them. Well, if that's a little bit of your side hustle to create some money for crypto, great. But I'm talking about like things that just totally distract you from cryptocurrency, shiny objects. Don't let them come into your life. Those can also be, some of the fun things in life. Like I've said it a million times. If you are on a bowling league and you bowl on Tuesday nights and you bowl on Thursday nights, and then you have, a bowling tournament on, Saturdays and Sundays, you're probably going to have to give that up if you want to be rich in crypto. So a lot of people don't want to give that up. They don't want to give up whatever that Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday thing that they love doing is. Maybe for you, it's going out on your boat. Maybe you love to go on, you get off work and you go out on your boat on the lake and you go fishing and you do that Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Whatever it is, there's something in your life most likely that you're going to have to give up. You're going to have to sacrifice short term so that you can have everything long term. I kind of reckon it like this. Like there's a guy out there watching this channel, or could be one of you, could even kind of be me in the old days, that really enjoys being on the water. And so, but I'm broke. And so what do? I got this crummy little rowboat, and I go down to this crummy little pond, and I go out and I row my boat around and I drink a couple of waters or whatever your beverage of choice is, and I cast out with a bobber and I catch a few little fish, and then I row back into the shore, and and it's a pain in the butt, and my boat sucks and it's got holes, and I'm poor and I'm broke, but I'm having fun fishing. And then there's the guy that says, hey, I want to have a really nice fishing boat. I want to be able to go catch some big fish. I want to be able to pay. Like, have you ever thought about how much fun it might be to do like the big game fishing where you go fishing for like a swordfish or one of those big marlin? Dude, that looks like it would be awesome. But guess what? It costs a lot of money. Either you charter a boat or you do it yourself. But so many of you can't get past this abundance mindset. You can't get abundant enough to think that you could go do that. So you just settle for your rowboat. But I'm telling you, there's something in your life that you're going to have to give up. But what you're going to get at the end of the journey, at the end of that 2 to 5 years, is so much better. At the end of 5 years, you go fishing 7 days a week if you want to, and you can do it in style with an amazing boat, with amazing gear, and catch amazing fish. And you can do it anywhere in the world you want. You don't got to go to the crummy pond that's 2 miles from your house. You can travel all over the world going to fishing destinations if that's what you love to do. whatever it is in your life, give up the bowling league. Whatever the bowling league is in your life, give it up. Don't let shiny objects. Hey, I've been wanting to learn how to scuba dive, blah, blah, blah. Now, all of a sudden, I got this opportunity to learn how to scuba dive, but it's going to take up, I got to do, my evenings and I got to do my weekends and blah, blah, blah. No. I want to learn how to scuba dive too. Guess what? Scuba diving is going to be easy to learn once I'm rich. Once I got the money, what good does it do you to know how to scuba dive if you can't go to any awesome tropical destinations or any place where there's good scuba diving? So I'm telling you guys, it's so easy to get distracted. In fact, the devil loves, one of the easiest ways the devil can keep us from achieving our dreams is just to simply distract us. It's so easy. It takes almost no work on his behalf because humans are so easily distractible. All right, that was 6. Number 7, I was thinking I had a bonus one. I'm trying to remember what it was. Can't remember what the bonus one is right off the top of my head, but we're going to go to number 7. So we started with number 1 was you're way too impatient. So we went over that. Then number 2, I believe, because I went all over, so don't shoot me if I'm wrong here. But number 2, I think we went into number 2 was not making enough money. Number 3, I think, was not educating yourself. And then number 4 was not having a plan. And number 5 was investing in flash, not substance. And then number 6 was shiny object syndrome. So for those of you that are paying attention at home, or maybe if you came into this video a little bit late, those were the six things. Those were the first 6 things. The seventh thing goes right along with the first thing. So the first thing is that you're way too impatient. The last thing is the exact opposite of that, but it's still critically important. And the 7th thing that you're doing, the 7th big mistake that you're doing that is keeping you from creating a 7-figure crypto portfolio is that you're way too patient. And we've talked about this in ways throughout every one of these points. There was a little bit of that. So yeah, you got to be patient, but you got to be impatiently patient. So you got to be patient. Number 1, the number 1 thing, you got to be patient in the right things that you got to be patient about. That is being patient enough to let the process and to become the person and to let the money that you're investing mature. That's where the patience is. The impatience, though, is you got to get on it. There's so many of you that don't have any sense of urgency. Like you're going to get around to it. You're going to get around to it. Like you probably are like me. You ever heard that joke? The husband says to the wife, hey, I don't know why you're still nagging me about that. You bug me and bug me and bug me. And, I've been telling you that I'm going to do it. Why don't you just trust me? And then the wife says, well, I've been telling you for 6 months. So, the guy is like going to get around to it. You're going to get around. He's going to do it someday. He's going to build that deck on the back patio. He's going to take the garbage out. The trouble is garbage was supposed to go out yesterday out to the curb, and now it's today, and you got garbage cans that are full. Most people are way, way, way too patient when it comes to doing the work. So you got to be patient to have the long run in your mind. When it comes to doing the work, you got to be impatient. You got to get on it. You got to work harder than you've ever worked. You got to be more focused than you've ever been. You got to be more diligent than you've ever been. And once again, this comes back to the money. For any of you that are there that are like, if you've ever said, man, I wish I had more money to invest in crypto, well, then why don't you? And especially if you've been thinking that for 6 months or a year or 2 years, and you still don't have any more money to invest in crypto than you did 2 years ago, well, then if you ain't changing, you're choosing. That's one of my new favorite sayings. Write that down. If you ain't changing, or if you aren't changing, if you want to be politically correct or, grammatically correct, if you aren't changing, you're choosing. So if you don't like the amount of money that you have to invest in crypto, change it. And if you don't believe you can change it, I don't know how to help you. I mean, I guess I do a little bit. Like, my belief in you, you got to go figure out how to get more self-confidence, how to believe in yourself. Like, if you don't believe you're worth more than you're making right now, then you're never going to make more than you're worth right now. Like, literally, folks, we talked about this the other day. Maybe this is bonus point number 8. You're never going to out-earn your identity. So if you feel like you only are worth $50,000 a year, even if somehow something happens and all of a sudden you jump up to $100,000 a year in income, you're going to find a way to cool it off and get yourself back to 50, back to where you're comfortable, back to where you believe you ought to be. And part of the reason is most of you are good people. And so if you are a good person and you want to be a good person, then most good people, they don't want more than their fair share. So for instance, if there was, say 8 people here, and we all of a sudden had a pizza delivered to the house, and it was sliced with 8 slices, most of you would only take 1 slice. Like, the average person would say, hey, there's 8 slices, there's 8 people, my fair share is 1 slice, and that's all you would eat. And in that situation, that's a beautiful thing. Because if you were the type of person that was over here at my house and you ate 4 pieces, you wouldn't get invited back. But folks, this ain't pizza. This is life, and abundance is unlimited. There's an unlimited amount of abundance. It's unlimited. When you go make 10 million, you're not taking away from somebody else. You're not taking 10 people that are making, say 2 million a year. They don't go down to 1 million so that you can make 10 million. That's not how it works. Abundance is unlimited in this life. And so, but you as a good person, you're not going to ever achieve more than you believe you're worth. So you gotta become a person that believes that you're worth more. And then when you're worth more, you'll ask for more, you'll do more, you'll become more valuable, and you can earn more. And once again, there's a million ways to earn more. It's all about asking yourself, how can I earn more? Just like we talked a little bit earlier about how you buy the blue Mustang and then all of a sudden you see Mustangs everywhere you go. If you're asking the wrong questions, like if you've got a poor mindset and you're like, man, McDonald's over here on this side of town charges me $13 for my meal, but if I drive an extra 10 miles over to this side of town, I can get my meal for $10 instead of 13. I can save $3. And you go that extra 10 miles to save $3. You're in a broke poverty mindset, guys. You got to be in an abundant mindset. You shouldn't care whether the Big Mac is $10 or $13. You should have so much money it doesn't even matter. But once again, it's like all about like the extra 10 miles that you drove cost you $1 in gas. And then it also cost you, say, 10, 15 minutes both ways. So that's a half an hour of your time. Even if you're only a $20 an hour employee, a half an hour of your time is worth $10. So you just spent $10 in time and $1 in gas to save $3. There's people right now watching this video that go to a certain gas station that's at like a Costco or a Sam's Club or a Safeway where they got rewards cards, and it's 15 minutes further away than the gas station right by your house. And you do that to save, 50 cents a gallon. So you go buy $15 worth of gas, you save $7.50. You're so proud of yourself. Even if it was $1 a gallon less, you save 15 whole bucks. But we just talked, if you got to drive 15 minutes to get there, 15 minutes to get back, plus the gas that you used, you didn't save anything. And I'm here to tell you guys that your time is way more valuable than your money. Part of the process, and one of the things that you're going to be learning by being a part of this channel, is how to buy back your time. There's so many little things that most of you are probably going to not do, anymore. Like, you're probably going to quit cleaning your own house and doing your own dishes and cooking your own food, mowing your own lawn, and a lot of these things. And it's not because you are lazy. It's because there's way funner things to do. I can pay somebody to come over while I take my kids to the beach for 3 or 4 hours and have a lot of fun. I can pay somebody to come clean my whole house, take out the garbage, do the dishes, clean the whole house for $100. The 4 hours with my kids is worth way more than $100. So anyways, folks, number 7, quit being so patient. And, with that, folks, I hope that you had a fantastic time. And, Yeah, you know, I agree. There's a lot of things that we let me see here. Still kicking, but looking for work, man. You're gonna find some work. What do I want to go through the chat? And hey, what do we got here? Get through a little bit of this chat. Anybody got any last second comments? Anything about today's video that stood out to you? Anything that you liked in particular? You know, anything that maybe, you know, any of you have an eighth thing that is on your list, like the 7 that I mentioned, you've got one that you think is super important. I would love to see, you know, your ideas. If you got anything that you want to add in the chat, I would definitely appreciate it. That would be awesome. Let me see here. Deadwood says, I still have $5 of Dodge that I bought at 0.0033. Nice. Army Piper. Yo, 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 we are on a cruise and about to go spend some cycle profits. Awesome. You know, Army Piper has Piper Academy has an incredible YouTube channel. Super, super solid guys. They love people. That's one of the things that I really look for in the cryptocurrency influencers and the people that I surround myself, is that they love people. They've got an amazing, amazing channel. Rick from Piper Academy has done amazingly well in his life. He's incredibly successful. He's not doing the YouTube, you know, because he needs the money. He's doing it because he believes in decentralization, and he's doing it because he believes in the American dream, and he believes and he sees the middle class getting wiped out. You know, one of the things, last but not least, that I will talk about is, guys, this isn't really that much about making money. It is, but it's about creating freedom. And if you don't believe me, you're going to learn the hard way. It breaks my heart because I got people that I love. I got people that are close to me. I got people that live a couple blocks away from me that I love with my whole heart, that I'm trying to get them to see that the middle class is getting wiped out. Over the next 10 or 15 years, you're either going to have enough money to be able to call some shots and be able to, you know, live a life that's worth living, or you're going to probably be poor and be struggling for every single dollar. You're going to be dependent upon friends and family and government to survive. And it's just the way that the world is going. And if you don't believe me, just don't do anything for the next 10 or 15 years and see what happens. This ain't about getting rich so that we can buy Lambos and buy Ferraris and go on amazing vacations. Yeah, I'm going to do all of that stuff, but that's not why I do this. I do this so that my family doesn't have somebody with their thumb over them telling them when they can eat, when they can go to the bathroom. And literally, if you're poor enough to where you have to be dependent upon the government, then they control you. They tell you what you can do, what you can't do. It's all about freedom for me. With the freedom comes some of the nicer things in life. But that's why I'm so passionate. That's why I'm here for an hour and a half today. It's not because I'm excited about being able to go buy a Lamborghini. It's because I'm excited to create financial freedom in my life and to be able to help the people close to me have financial freedom in their lives, and then hopefully help dozens and hundreds and hopefully over the next, you know, handful of years and decades, thousands and tens of thousands of people have financial freedom that might not have if they hadn't come across my YouTube channel. So with that, folks, I love you all. I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, babe. I appreciate you being here. I hope everybody has a fantastic Monday. Do me a favor, folks, on your way out. If you haven't hit that like button, do me a favor and just take a quick second, hit that like button. I don't do it all the time either until somebody reminds me, and I'm not real good at reminding people. So, you know, if you're still here with us and you haven't hit that like button, please smash that like button for me. I got to get reminded too. Even Crypto Lifer, I was watching Crypto Lifer for almost an hour the other day, and I hadn't hit the like button. And then all of a sudden he said, "Hey guys, you know, let's get the number of likes up to the number of watchers." And I thought, oh, that's right, I forgot to like the video. So even as much as I want to help the other YouTubers and stuff that I watch, I still forget sometimes. So I'm just giving you that friendly reminder. Guys, if this is your first time watching the channel and you got any value out of this and you want to get more, we do this on Tuesday morning with our Trader Tuesday live stream, where we talk about how to trade a little bit shorter term time frames to make money. Then we've got our Wednesday microcap gem live stream. All of them are at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, noon Eastern. And we would love for you, and it would be an honor for you to subscribe to the channel and come back and watch some more of our videos with us. And with that, thank you all for being here. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, John. Thank you, Deadwood. Deadwood says, thank you, sir. For me, it's a reminder to zoom out when buying into projects or selling out of them. Good. Impatient is someone I really need to deal with, or impatience is something I really need to deal with. Thanks, Brad. Hey, you're welcome, Daniel. I love you, brother. So with that, folks, have an amazing day. We got an incredible Trader Tuesday set up for you tomorrow. Looking forward to Microcap Gem Wednesday. And then I also want to let you guys know, we got as of right now, we got 3 projects that we're going to be featuring in live stream interviews. I believe 1 or 2 on Wednesday and 1 or 2 on Thursday. Here, actually, it's we got 1 on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then Thursday. So Thursday is normally a day off for me, but we've got a live stream at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and a live stream at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Thursday. For those of you that normally don't get to see me on Thursday, we're going to have a fantastic day. All 3 of those extra live streams are going to have a $100 giveaway, and I hope I see a bunch of you there too. So with that, God bless you all. Have an amazing, amazing, amazing day. Give yourself some grace, folks. I'm going to end with, quit being so darn hard on yourself. Love yourself. You're just human. It's okay. You know, if you're not doing everything that you should be doing right now, it's okay. You know, my wife and I and my daughter really listened to some incredible audio books on the way home from this trip. And one of the things that, you know, this audio book, this Mel Robbins pointed out was, it's okay. Like, so many of us have things that happened to us back when we were children and as we were growing up that we don't even realize are triggers in our life and that have caused our habits. You know, we talked about this the other day. If you grew up with parents that never exercised and that always just laid around and that let themselves get, you know, out of shape and overweight, and then you kind of grew up and became a person that laid around and was out of shape and overweight, it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to fix it. So give yourself some grace. If you grow up in a household where your parents weren't financially responsible, your parents never saved $1 for their future, and now they're, you know, whatever, 60, 70, 80 years old, not knowing how they're going to retire, and you're 20, 30, 40 years old and kind of following their footsteps, it's okay. That's what you were taught. Give yourself some grace. But remember, the last thing I'm going to leave you with, it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to fix it. It's not your fault that it happened. You had no control over those things that you learned growing up and watching your parents, but it is your responsibility to take a step back. This is another opportunity to take that 10,000-foot view and really look at all of the things that your parents taught you, good and bad, and embrace the things that they taught you that were good. Man, if they taught you to open doors and to say please and to say thank you and be polite and be generous and to be a good-hearted person and to stick up for the weak and to not allow bullies to trample all over you and stick up for other people if you see them getting bullied, you know, and they gave you an incredible love and you've got a tenderness in your spot, you know, in your life for animals, wonderful. Soak up all of that good, but then just say, hey, their parents were bad with money and their parents were bad with money and their parents were bad with money. And so, you know, that's what they grew up with and that's how they are. But I realize that in order to get to where I want to be in my life, that's who I can't be that person. And it's okay to give yourself some grace and love on yourself. You got to love yourself, guys. God made you in his image. You are perfect. And God put you on this earth to do amazing things with your life. He loves you. He loves you. And there's nothing in the world that you can do to cause him to love you any less. And there's nothing you can do in the world to cause him to love you anymore. He just loves you and you're perfect. And if you're going through some challenges and some struggles in life and you feel like you're alone, you're not alone. You got me. You got a lot of people in this community that love you and that want to see you be successful. So just keep coming back. But I promise you, God has not left you. God will never leave or forsake you. And so in some of the darkest moments of your life, when you feel the loneliest, I promise you, God is close. You just got to be looking for him. You got to be asking for him. You got to draw near to him. God is a gentleman. He's not going to come until he's invited. So folks, give yourself some grace and know that you were beautifully and wonderfully made, that you are made in God's image, and that you have greatness that flows through your veins. And God put you here on this earth to do something exciting, something special. And so those of you that are here on this channel that don't feel like you're doing something exciting or special with your life yet, that's okay. Keep coming back. We're going to figure it out together. With that, guys, I love you very much. And once again, we'll see you tomorrow. God bless you all, and we'll see you in the next live stream. Bye-bye for now.